These kids might have gotten their foot in the door faster thanks to their famous parents, but turns out they'd surpass them too. Here's the children of celebrities that got more famous than their own parents. Miley Cyrus. Let's be real here. Miley Cyrus is way more famous than her father ever was. It probably helped a little that Billy Ray Cyrus starred as her father in Hannah Montana, but it's not like he ever achieved as much success during his youth the way his daughter has. People know Billy Ray Cyrus best for his hit Achy Breaky Heart, which was released all the way back in 1992, and his music career never really went further than that in terms of fame. However, not long after Hannah Montana debuted on the Disney Channel, Miley was already on her way to stardom. Kim Kardashian. This next one kind of goes for all of Kim's siblings, but we're talking mainly her because there's no arguing that Kim is the most famous of her family. Back in the 90s, all you ever really heard about Kris Jenner, who was once Kris Kardashian, was that she was once married to famous lawyer Robert Kardashian and then married to former Olympian Bruce Jenner. Compared to all her parents, biological and step-parents, Kim, along with her sisters and even her brother, are more talked about in the media than their elders ever were. That's not to say that that was without the help of momager Kris, of course. Donald Gleeson. We might have trouble spelling his name and then pronouncing it at first, but there's no denying that Donald Gleeson is now getting more famous than his father, Brendan Gleeson. You've seen Brendan in many movies, such as Braveheart, In Bruges, and even as Mad-Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films where, funny enough, is where most people first saw his son. Donald arrived on the filmmaking scene most prominently as Bill Weasley, and since then has starred in countless movies like his dad, getting roles in many an indie film like Frank, Oscar-nominated films like Ex Machina and The Revenant, and the juggernaut of them all, Star Wars. Lily Collins. We all know who Phil Collins is, but when's the last time you heard about him lately that didn't have to do with that letter his daughter wrote him this year? You probably can't remember, aside from whenever you listen to the Tarzan soundtrack. Lily Collins may not have written songs like In the Air Tonight and Against All Odds or Another Day in Paradise, but she's much more relevant now than her dad. Sure, it probably has to do with the natural progression of time and the fact that her dad isn't working much anymore, though word is he's out of retirement. But Lily's the one landing roles and getting coverage on fashion magazines now. Maddy Healy. He's the frontman of the British pop band The 1975, which garnered popularity after the release of their first self-titled album in 2013. Maddy Healy's in that space between pop and indie star and belongs to both and neither at the same time. Most people, unless you're a big 1975 fan, don't know that his mother is actually an actress, Denise Welch. She's best known as being a television presenter and actress in England on shows such as Waterloo Road and Coronation Street. It's safe to say that on a global scale, Healy is better known than his mom, whom he recently publicly apologized to for his previous substance abuse addiction. Paris Hilton. Sure, she's famous for being a reality show star, but Paris Hilton was also rich before that. Many people see her last name and make the connection. Paris Hilton is an American heiress of the Hilton fame. Yes, the family that owns that huge hotel chain. While her parents might not be actors or rock stars, they're well known in their own right. She's now 37 years old, but audiences remember her best when she was in her 20s during the early 2000s and starring alongside her other friend who grew up rich, Nicole Richie, in The Simple Life. Her parents are Kathy Hilton and Richard Howard Hilton, who are business people and socialites. Zoe Deutsch. Take a look at 23-year-old actress Zoe Deutsch. Does she look familiar to you? If she does a little bit, that's probably because her mother is actress Leah Thompson, known for her roles in movies like Some Kind of Wonderful, Howard the Duck, and of course, Back to the Future. Thompson found herself in the spotlight as a teen and a young adult during the 1980s in Hollywood, and has only recently been more relevant after starring in a season of American Horror Story, and now Sierra Burgess is a loser. Zoe Deutsch has been appearing in more and more movies lately, such as Vampire Academy, Before I Fall, and recently in Netflix's Set It Up. Drew Barrymore. Fun fact, Drew Barrymore's godfather is Steven Spielberg. However, her real dad is John Drew Barrymore, who was also a famous actor during the mid-20th century, and he followed suit as the whole clan of Barrymores were in the acting field. His career really took off during the late 50s and early 60s, but was virtually over by the time the 70s rolled around. SAG suspended John Drew Barrymore in 1967, and his career was officially done by 1976. After, he became estranged from his family and reclusive, drowning in substance abuse. Drew Barrymore was the little girl in E.T., and we'd see her grow up into a teen star and young adult in the 1990s, battling her own addiction problems too. She seemed to have overcome it though, and recently has been in the Netflix series Santa Clarita Diet. Chris Pine. Did you know Chris Pine comes from a famous family too? His father is Robert Pine, who's been in countless shows and movies, even if he's not a household name or instantly as recognizable as his son. Robert Pine starred in shows such as The Bold and the Beautiful, The Office, and even Veep. His most famous gig was in Chips, on which he starred on for 5 seasons. Then you have Chris Pine, who got his start on The Princess Diaries 2, which wasn't so great, but whatever. He'd star here and there, but it wasn't until J.J. Abrams cast him as Captain Kirk in the new Star Trek movie would he really get his career going. Katherine Waterston. The years of 2016 and 2017 proved a busy time for actress Katherine Waterston. First came the release of Fantastic Beasts, then Alien Covenant, and Logan Lucky. If you go back in time in her career, you might remember her in 2007's The Babysitters, but she got more traction after starring in P.T. Anderson's Inherent Vice in 2014. She's constantly working now, and surely you've seen her in something lately. What you might not have known is that she's the daughter of Sam Waterston, who you'll recognize from Law & Order, and more recently, Newsroom. Alexander Skarsgård. True Blood fans everywhere recognize this guy, and you might too if you're aware of the Skarsgård clan and their presence in movies and television shows. Alexander Skarsgård is the son of actor Stellan Skarsgård, who newer audience will remember from the Thor movies and in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, as well as the newest Mamma Mia sequel. Don't get us wrong, Stellan's made a name for himself, but nowadays it's all about Alexander, who played Tarzan in the live-action adaptation in 2016, which a lot of people didn't like, but whatever, and recently starred in the HBO show Big Little Lies. Oh, and have you heard of his little brother, half-brother, Bill Skarsgård? He was Pennywise in the remake of It. Enrique Iglesias. If you know Spanish music, then you already knew that Enrique Iglesias is the son of Spanish singer-songwriter Julio Iglesias. While Julio certainly has his hold in history for the older generation during the 1980s and has recorded songs in the most languages in the world, his son has reached high heights as well. When Enrique first started his career, he even changed his stage name to Enrique Martinez and would borrow money from his nanny in order to record music so that he could distance himself from his father's name and fame and make it on his own. Katie Cassidy. She's been on shows such as Arrow, where she plays Black Canary, Gossip Girl, the reboot of Melrose Place, and New Girl. She's had 2 movies this year and has been working in Hollywood since 2003. Some of her notable movies include 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street and Taken. Who's her famous parents? It's none other than fashion model Sherry Williams and actor, singer-father David Cassidy. Her parents were once famous as well, as she's the granddaughter of Jack Cassidy and Evelyn Ward, as well as the niece of actor Patrick Cassidy and producer Shaun Cassidy. Dakota Johnson. Now that she's got a little more famous, you probably realize that Dakota Johnson is the daughter of actress Melanie Griffith, but she's kept that a bit on the low, as she's taken her father's, Don Johnson's, last name. He's an actor too, but Johnson is so much less conspicuous than Griffith. You don't hear much from Don or Melanie anymore, but you do see Dakota Johnson everywhere now, thanks a lot in part to her role as Anastasia in the 3 installments of 50 Shades of Grey. Rashida Jones. She's the daughter of record producer, film producer, and musician Quincy Jones, and actress Peggy Lipton. You'll recognize her in Twin Peaks. Rashida Jones has some pretty famous parents, namely her dad. She's also got some famous siblings and half-siblings. However, most people nowadays know who Rashida Jones is thanks to her role in The Office, I Love You Man, and most notably in Parks and Recreation. Most recently, she gave birth to hers and Vampire Weekend frontman Ezra Koenig's son, Isaiah. Will he be more famous than them too? Zooey Deschanel. Her father, Caleb Deschanel, is a director and cinematographer, while her mother, Mary Jo Deschanel, is an actress too. She also has an actress' older sister, Emily Deschanel, though Zooey seems to be the most widely known of her Hollywood family. Zooey Deschanel often gets cast as a quintessential quirky girl, and it's a typecast that suits her well. She starred in a few indie movies, but it was after starring in Elf and 500 Days of Summer did we all get to know her a little better. Then we knew her best in New Girl, where she's basically a more neurotic and flighty version of herself. Emma Roberts. We know her aunt better than we know her parents. So does that count? Emma Roberts is the daughter of Eric Roberts and Kelly Cunningham. Her mother was never too well known, and her father is known for his attitude and outbursts, making him an interesting case in the acting world. Emma's aunt, however, is the one and only Julia Roberts, who's definitely the famous one in the family, although Emma is close behind. If you're around Emma's age, then you probably remember her from her Nickelodeon days, and she's been more and more frequently in things since then, like Scream Queens, American Horror Story, and smaller movies like Palo Alto and Wild Child. Nearly at the top spot. Before we reveal the kids that got way more famous than their parents, let us know which of these celebrity kids you didn't even know had famous parents. Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid. We couldn't choose who's more famous because depending on who did what and when, it goes back and forth. So we decided to include both Gigi and Bella Hadid. Technically, Gigi was famous first, but her younger sister came up real quick not long after. Their father is real estate developer Mohammed Hadid, while their mother is former supermodel Yolanda Foster. Gigi signed on to IMG Models in 2013 when she was about 18 years old and would be one of the top 50 models according to Models.com by the next year. Bella studied photography at the Parsons School of Design in 2014 and signed on to IMG as well that same year. She dropped out of school also rather soon because she got so successful as a model. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and make sure you've subscribed. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss a vid.